Have you ever wondered how narratives can be manipulated to justify atrocities in history? The answer lies in the subtle art of framing, a tool that has been wielded by powers throughout the ages to shape public opinion and justify their actions. Let's journey back to the mid-1930s, a time when fascism was on the rise and the world was on the brink of a global conflict. The stage for this tale is set in East Africa, where Italy, under the rule of Benito Mussolini, launched an invasion on Ethiopia. It was during this invasion that Italy, in a brazen violation of international law, bombed Red Cross units a total of 22 times. The fascist regime justified these attacks by claiming that the Ethiopian army was misusing the Red Cross emblem and field hospitals as shields, thereby violating the principle of distinction in international humanitarian law. The Italians painted a picture of the Ethiopians as treacherous and brutal fighters who ignored the laws of war, contrasting them with the honest, law-abiding image of the fascist soldiers. This narrative, however, was deeply flawed. The Ethiopian forces' supposed misuse of the Red Cross emblem wasn't a reflection of their primitivism, but rather the desperate actions of defenseless people trying to protect themselves against the lethal Italian bombings. The Italian army was using C-500T bombs loaded with iperite, a deadly poison. The Ethiopians, lacking an air force or effective protection against this rain of death, had few options but to use whatever means they had at their disposal. This historical episode has striking similarities with the present-day situation in Palestine. Israel, like Italy in the 1930s, has been accused of using a similar narrative to justify its actions. Israeli officials have been quoted using dehumanizing language to describe the inhabitants of Gaza, blaming them for their own suffering and justifying their aggressive actions as a response to the supposed barbarism of the Palestinians. In both instances, the narrative of the savages violating international law was used to justify the actions of the invading forces. The Ethiopian and Palestinian cases show how narratives can be manipulated to paint victims as perpetrators and justify atrocities. To summarize, the Italian invasion of Ethiopia in the mid-1930s and the current conflict in Palestine provide clear examples of how narratives can be manipulated to justify atrocities. In both cases, the invading powers portrayed their victims as the villains, using this narrative to justify their actions. By understanding these historical and contemporary examples, we can better recognize and challenge such manipulative narratives in the future.